on the topic of like failing a sexual health check, not obviously in the context of whether or not it's payback blowjob, more in a fully failed health check. I feel quite comfortable with like I've failed a lot of people, to be honest, when I used to work in a brothel. So I'm quite comfortable with that conversation, and I think I'm able to deliver it quite gently but still firm.
Okay.
I'm interested to know, I don't know, I think I'm interested to know what it is like to do that in a fully private context. I think having been in a brothel, most of my clients would react totally fine. They'd head down to reception, get a refund, and off they go. But in a private context, I'm wondering about deposits. How often, I guess it's all in your delivery of how they're going to react. But I think when you're in a, if you're in call on your own. And if in a brothel, like if I would have someone who started to not agree with me failing them, I could just walk out of the room and reception will deal with them, So I'm more thinking of, just a potentially volatile situation coming from that kind of conversation.
Okay. There's two parts to this, the immediate conversation and then your safety procedures behind it, because since you don't have a house full of people, do that level of comfort. We'll start with the conversation with the client. So firstly, the flow of the booking is ideally the client walks in the room, you do your pleasantries, you get the money. / you've already gotten the deposit, but sometimes you may not have a deposit because that happens. Then they're in the bathroom, you do the health check, they failed the health check. You have two options, and I'm sure that you know this. You can modify the service based on what it is they failed. So I had a client once who presented with a cut on his penis. I didn't need to cancel the booking, but I was no longer do a natural oral. Now, the way I delivered that was actually didn't even give him an option of cancelling or refund or anything. I just was like, darling, look at this. Obviously,
I can't. I'm not going to put my mouth on that.
But I can either do, this is in sales called an alternative close, I can either do a covered blowjob or I can put my hand over where the cut is and I will do the service to where my hand is. What would you
at that point?
And I can't remember what he chose, doesn't matter. But I delivered it. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I'm just polite, matter of fact, but still, I'm standing there in my bra and underwear, like looking hot, ready to go. So the tone of how you deliver it is really important. Like a lot of people get angry and upset and to be honest, like they should know better, but whatever.
So I think I've got the tone part and the delivery down pat. I was always just like super gentle, in my tone. Oh, I've just noticed like X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying that that's, necessarily something or other, whether or not I think they've definitely got warts or they've definitely got this. Sometimes you'll know. I thought, I'm not too sure whether or not it's something, but just I'll explain, why it might be a risk for either of us, what we can do instead, and then, just lay it all out for them in a very kind of like a babying way, just step it through. Because they're obviously they're already nervous having their dick out, having you look at it. So then I'll be super, super gentle and talk slowly. And I've never really had any super bad reactions for it. But
okay, cool. All right, so that's step one, which sounds like you're kind of, if you've been in parlours, you offer a modified service. And I'm always going to offer them the thing that I want to do most, which is going to keep me the most money. So I would rather. And I don't offer a discount because, you've showed with this issue, not me. If that client were to push back and say, and make an issue of it, then really it's just up to my judgment and management of the booking and if he may or may not be. This client in particular was actually a bikie and could have been aggressive, but he wasn't and he didn't push back on the money. But if he had of, then I would have had to make a decision, in the moment based on my confidence and experience as to do I offer a slight discount? Do I just say, look, no problem, let's just leave it here. I'm going to keep $200 fee, blah, blah, blah. But in that situation, he didn't argue. We modified it, no problem. So always lead essentially with what you want to do and with what makes you the most money. That's option one.
Would you say that if they let's say they fail entirely, and I was like not comfortable doing any service at all, do you give them back the deposit?
No. So yeah, that's where I was getting to next.
Yeah.
If let's say a client's paid $1,000, right, for an hour, my typical deposit for that is probably like $200.
Yeah.
And either they've paid the deposit or I have the full fee anyway.
Yeah.
Some escorts I've known will keep the full fee and say that this time has been allocated for you. You've clearly failed it. Like, you know, if it's so bad that you won't do anything, it's going to be pretty bad. So you're totally within your rights, I think, ethically and commercially, to say, I've set this time aside for you and you've failed a health check. I'm going to have to cancel this booking. Depending on the nature of the issue, you may say, I'd love to see you another time when this is cleared up, but to be honest, who wants to sue? So it's really a judgment call for you. What I used to do is, in that situation, I would have kept 50% of the fee and said to them, this is what you've presented with. As you can understand, I'm not prepared to do a booking with you. I'm not going to keep the full fee. I'm going to keep 50% and, like, see you later. And I'll just give them the money back and walk out. Now, if they argue, and I've dealt with this with girls, where they go argue about the money, no amount of money is worth your safety in an individual.
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah.
If they kick up, just give them the money.
You just give them,
If they kick up about a deposit that's been paid via bank transfer, say, text me your deposit details now. I want you to walk out the door, but I'll send it to you once you leave, because you want, if they're very aggressive, you want them out ASAP.
Definitely.
If you had to get them out, you could stand there and transfer the money in front of them. I've never had a situation.
No, I doubt I would get to that. But definitely good to have that just in the back of your mind.
So some escorts go to the extent of laying out this cancellation policy in advance. I never did that because it's such a low occurrence. But it really comes down to your confidence, your concern about this issue occurring. If you feel more comfortable putting in pre-booking communication, please note, if a health check has failed and I'm not able to proceed with the booking, it will incur a 50% cancellation fee. If that makes you feel better.
Maybe, like, I think I'm conscious of not having heaps of stuff listed on the actual ad. I don't want them to be reading through policies and deposits, and you want it to be simple, obviously, to get them in the door. But maybe once they've booked, just like a little FYI, like, just let you know, like, the health check is there, and this is what happens if that worst case scenario does happen. Just as a bit of a
But for sure, texting it to them once they've booked and confirmed the deposit, no problem. There'll be a percentage of clients who see that and feel even better about it.
This is what I was going to say. They're concerned as well. If they see that you're taking it seriously, then and it also might do the opposite as well, where someone who might have been a bit dodgy, or they might have known that they had a bit of a weird thing going down there, they might be like, oh, well, I don't want to risk that, and they just cancel the booking. So it might go both ways.
Okay, so that's the situation. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then going to the next step of the security is, because this situation could happen, or any other situation, and when you're working independently, you're alone in the room with a man you've never met. This comes down to, like, what are your safety procedures? And however far you want to go, there's a consequence, good and bad, in terms of complexity and stuff like that. The first thing is, ideally, you want somebody who knows where you are at all times.
Yes. I was actually wanting to ask about that. I've seen in groups and stuff that I've been in before that there's, like, kind of worker check-in groups, or, just groups of girls that kind of work together. Obviously, it's probably, I mean, my friends know what I do and my housemates know what I do. So that's kind of like one check-in kind of thing that I can use. But I think, having other workers who know that you can do it together, I don't know if that's something that, you've heard of before as like a kind of group safety kind of thing to do together.
I haven't actually heard of, I know, like, WhatsApp groups, etc. that people. The thing about the buddy which is going to be my next kind of, like, that's the best thing, is to have a buddy where you're like letting each other know. But the reality is that's a level of responsibility on another person. And to be honest, like, typically the best level of protection you're going to get in a scenario like that is if you're working with an agency or a parlour, because they're invested commercially in you. So they're literally going to be checking in when the booking's meant to finish, because if it hasn't, they want to know if you're extending so that they make more money. Like,
make more money, or get you to the next booking.
Totally. People feel all righteous about people taking a cut, but you know what? A cut comes with a level of safety that it's really hard to do anywhere else.
So true.
Because a friend that's a buddy, like, they're living their lives, they've got their bookings, let them know that you finish. So
or if you're both in bookings at the same time, or they get
totally. And then the next step for that is,
what is the procedure
for your friend
if they don't hear from you? Then what do they do?
That's it.
And do they actually follow that? So it's not as simple really as it sounds, but as a rule, having people in your life who know that you're working, having somebody that you can send a message to say, going into a booking, going out, you can't expect that somebody else is going to be sitting there going, oh, she was meant to finish at 3 p.m, it's 3:05, I don't know what's going to happen. But if you let her know you had a 2-hour booking and she doesn't hear from you for a day, when she eventually remembers to check in on you, that's probably the best that you can do.
The best. Definitely. I mean, short of paying someone to be your personal security check-in person and having them on standby, you can't really expect that level of investment and commitment from someone who's also got their own life going on.
We've all thought of this, right? I went through a period where I've never actually had a dangerous situation with a client, but I've had 2 bookings where I felt uncomfortable, and after it happened, I went down all these rabbit holes of full-time security, and commercially, it's very difficult to make it work. Like, escorting is an on-call job. What are you supposed to do? Pay somebody
to be on call?
Like a security kind of person who's going to walk in and do something in a dangerous situation. Imagine how much you have to pay them an hour.
And then so much.
24/7. It's just you're going to be paid more than
literally just not possible.
Okay. So look, having somebody that knows, because I work with people where it's like, well, this is, nobody knows ever anything.
And that's hard.
Pretty risky. Then, of course, you've got your screening process. Let's not go into the screening process right now, but you want to have a screening process per client.
Definitely.
Then it's about the physical setup of your situation, whether that be in-call or out-call. If it's an in-call, you have a lot more control. You can do things like have pepper spray. You can do things like have a room, like a bathroom, where there's a lock on the inside and there's a phone in the cupboard so that you can run to that room, lock the door, and call the police.
That was a really interesting thing that I've heard in your videos. That's something I never would have thought of before. I'm like, that's such a great, like a tangible thing that's like, it's not not something that's hard to set up. Most bathrooms have a lock on the inside. But I'm like, I never would have thought of that.
Yep, totally. I mean, and that's an extreme situation, but these are things you have to think about.
You want to work on.
That can happen. And in that scenario, the first people you want to be calling are the police. There's really, like, it's going to be pretty difficult to get anybody else to come and intervene. I've never had to do that personally. I've had one situation with someone who I knew where that happened, but to be honest, it was she wouldn't give the client the money back.
Right.
And there were drugs involved. If she had just given him, and she did finally give him the money, but actually what happened was he called the police on her.
Oh, no. God.
And then she did give him the money back, but unfortunately the police had already been called and been involved.
What a shit show.
It was a shit show, so that's why my advice is always, if a client arcs up,
if it's there,
and give them the money, ask them to leave.
Definitely. It's not worth it.
For sure.
Definitely.
So having people that know, screening clients appropriately, and your physical situation set up so that like you have contingency plans if things get really bad, and money solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
If you give someone leave. Well, I've even had situations where a booking hasn't happened. And who had a situation with a girl once, and the booking hadn't begun. He was clearly convicted, but he was loitering in the hotel and wouldn't leave. He got his deposit back, and then amazing, he was gone.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Like he was ranting and raving, he was calling her, of course she was terrified.
Oh God. And then drawing attention from the hotel staff, like
Exactly.
Yeah.
As soon as he got his $200 back,
he's off.
he was gone.
Ridiculous. Yeah, just take it.
I think it solves, honestly, 9.5 out of 10 scenarios.
Yeah, definitely.
Other things like late night bookings, party bookings, drug affected clients. That's why having a video intercom is really a good thing to do. If a client is drug affected, or heavily alcohol affected, there's a higher chance that something will go wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those kind of bookings are not my style, so I will try and avoid them at all costs personally.
Cool. It's kind of like with anonymity, right? Where people want, what do I do if someone has a suspicion that I'm an escort? Well, that's a reactive thinking. You want to be proactive.
Yeah.
How can you ensure that it's very unlikely that anybody ever suspects? That's how you want to think about it.
Yeah.
How can you ensure to the best of your ability while still acknowledging that if you're going to be an escort, this is a risk that you're taking every single day, every single time you do a booking.
Yeah.
But what can you do to reduce the likelihood?
Yeah. And all of those things, contribute to that. I think it's just interesting, like, particularly in this current climate of, like, all of the violence against women, it's so hard but it's hard to, I think when you're telling people who aren't workers about, being in a room with a strange man, we obviously all go worst case scenario. But, that can happen in everyday life. Like, women are more likely to get killed by, their partner, or even just walking down the street like that. It's just like such a realistic possibility of something happening. But I think it's very easy to like conflate that kind of risk. And it is increased, obviously, being a worker. But you've got to keep it in perspective as well. I think there's risk everywhere.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, you risk it every time you open your eyes, to be honest with you. But in escorting, sexual health and physical safety, you're exposing yourself to a risk that isn't the same as stepping out on the street every day.
Exactly.
So you want to be like aware of it, put things in place. And there's a reason why you can get paid $1,000 an hour at the age of 18 with no experience. That's horrible.
Yeah, definitely.
If you want to learn more escorting tips, just click the link below this video.